Have you seen that new AR game that everyone's talking about? You know, the one where you can like build those crazy robots and they like walk around your house?
Oh, yeah.
I tried it out the other day, and it's honestly kind of wild to see how far this tech has come.
It really is something else.
Exactly. And it got me thinking, this whole world of XR, it's more than just games, right? Like, we're talking about fundamentally changing how we interact with the world around us.
Okay.
So for today's deep dive, we're going way beyond the surface, all the way to the future of immersive experiences.
Okay.
We're lucky enough to have this article with insights from Bilawal Sidhu. He's an AI and 3D creator, and he really breaks down what's hype and what's truly groundbreaking.
Mm.
But for starters, I got to ask, if everyone throws around terms like full dive VR, but what does that even mean realistically?
Well, think of it this way. Remember that AR game you mentioned? The robot building one?
Yeah.
That's like dipping your toes into the XR pool, specifically augmented reality or AR. You're still grounded in the real world, but with digital layers added on top. Full dive VR aims to take away that real world grounding entirely.
So instead of just seeing those robots in my living room with full dive, I actually feel like I'm in their world.
Precisely.
Whoa.
We're talking headsets, sure, but also haptic suits that let you feel sensations virtually, omnidirectional treadmills so you can walk around a virtual environment, the works. The goal is to make it virtually impossible to tell the difference between what your senses are experiencing and actual reality.
Okay, now that's where it gets really mind-bending. That sounds less like tech and more like something out of Ready Player One.
You're not wrong. It's the kind of tech that sparks the imagination, and it goes even further. Sidhu brings up how biometric data could play a role. Imagine a virtual world that reacts not just to what you do, but how your body's responding, your heart rate, even your emotional state.
Whoa, that's both incredibly cool and a little unnerving, right? Like, how personalized can these experiences get?
That's the million-dollar question. But before we get too caught up in a future of perfectly personalized realities, let's talk about where full dive VR stumbles, at least for now.
It's like we can put robot companions on our kitchen table, but full dive VR is still on hold.
Yeah.
What's the holdup with this tech?
It's all about the details. Or rather, replicating the feeling of those details in a way that truly tricks our brains. Take haptics, for example.
Haptics. It's about touch, right?
Exactly. But it's not just about feeling something. It's about feeling something with the right amount of pressure, texture, temperature. Imagine holding an ice cube. You don't just sense cold. You feel the slipperiness, the edges, how it melts a little under your fingers. Recreating that level of nuance virtually is a monumental task.
So those haptic suits they're always showing off, those aren't quite there yet.
They're making strides, but it's early days. Right now, they're like the first touchscreen phones. Cool concept, but clunky execution. For true full dive, you need the virtual world to feel as tactile and responsive as the real one. We're not even close to mimicking the subtle way fabrics drape or the give of a handshake, let alone something complex like the sensation of wind on your skin.
Okay, I get the touch part now. That's way more involved than I realized. But what about moving around? Don't those omnidirectional treadmills solve that problem?
They're a piece of the puzzle for sure. Imagine a platform that lets you walk in any direction, but you stay in roughly the same spot, perfect for a VR setup where space is limited.
Sounds kind of like sci-fi movie-ish.
Hmm.
So what's the catch?
Well, imagine you're sprinting through a virtual forest and suddenly slam on the brakes. Your body in the real world wants to keep going. That's inertia. Now imagine that happening on a treadmill. It's not just about making the treadmill move, but about making the virtual experience match our ingrained physical instincts.
So it's like the tech is impressive, but our brains are even more impressive at noticing when something's off.
Exactly. We underestimate how good we are at inhabiting our bodies, at intuitively knowing how things should feel. But even though full dive VR is still figuring itself out, that doesn't mean the whole XR world is on pause.
Right. There was a lot in the article about how this stuff is already shaking things up, not just in gaming either.
It's true. The potential reaches far beyond entertainment.
Right.
Think about education. Imagine students not just reading about ancient Rome, but actually walking through the Colosseum, experiencing the scale and grandeur firsthand.
Okay, that would make history class way more interesting. And I remember reading something about XR and healthcare too, right?
Absolutely. The implications there are huge, Church. Surgeons could practice complex procedures on virtual patients, reducing risks in the real world. Or think about therapists using VR to create safe, controlled environments for treating phobias or PTSD.
It's incredible to think about the possibilities in those fields alone. But there was also that bit in the article about enterprise applications.
Yeah, definitely. Picture this like a technician is trying to fix a complex piece of machinery. Instead of flipping through manuals, they're seeing holographic instructions layered right over the equipment in real time. Or architects collaborating on a building design, making changes on the fly as if they were actually inside the structure. XR has the potential to change how we work in radical ways.
It really does feel like we're on the cusp of this huge technological shift, but I have to admit, all this talk about how real this tech can feel, combined with the biometric data aspect, it makes you wonder about the potential downsides.
Yeah, it's a valid concern. We're talking about technology that could one day track not just our location and browsing history, but our physical reactions, our emotional responses in real time. That raises some serious questions about privacy in a world where the line between real and virtual is becoming increasingly blurred.
It's almost like we need a whole new rule book for data privacy, one that can keep up with how fast this tech is evolving.
Absolutely. We need to make sure these advancements go hand in hand with ethical considerations. How do we protect personal data when the technology collecting it is designed to be incredibly immersive and personalized? These are conversations we need to be having right now.
It's a lot to consider. On the one hand, this incredible potential to learn, to heal, to connect in completely new ways. And on the other, making sure we don't lose sight of the real world and the very real implications of this technology.
It's a balancing act for sure. The future of XR is full of possibility, but it's up to all of us to shape that future thoughtfully.
Well, there you have it. We've journeyed from goofy AR filters all the way to the philosophical quandaries of full-dive VR and the ethical tightrope it entails. And it's clear that we're not just talking about new gadgets. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how we experience and maybe even understand reality.
And that begs the question, as we venture deeper into this world of immersive experiences, how will it reshape the very way we connect with each other? Will it foster greater empathy and understanding, or will it blur the lines between the real and the virtual to the point where human connection itself takes on a whole new meaning? It's a question worth pondering as we step into this exciting, uncharted territory.
That's a question we'll be grappling with for some time, and hopefully one we can all discuss together. Thanks for diving deep with us today, everyone. Until next time.